One of the things I like to do on this channel is to find old patterns that I'm not really familiar with. And sometimes I'll try to tie it just like the originator did, but sometimes I'll make a change or two. Maybe substitute some hard to find material, or just make a change that's going to make it easier to tie. And that's what I did today. The fly I'm about to show you, I can't really call it a Niemeyer caddis because I've just made too many changes to it, but his caddis was definitely the inspiration for it. And I did use one of his techniques that I don't do very often, and that is dubbing a body out of these soft marabou-like fibers that you find at the base of a feather from any waterfowl. How many times have we used a mallard flank for a wing and then just thrown out the bottom half of the feather because it has that scraggly, down-like fibers that we really don't use? But as you'll see in a minute, those fibers can make a pretty cool dubbed body for a nymph. Of course, you do probably need to put some kind of rib up through it, but that's also what will give you a lot of options for a pattern like this. You can use the rib to color the fly. Make it a green for a pretty standard caddis, or a tan, that's a pretty common one. Or if you want to do an October caddis, make it some kind of orange or amber color. But this one, it's a pretty cool bug, and you're about to see a technique for a nymph body that you can use for all kinds of nymphs out there. Just let your imagination run wild and have fun with it. So there it is in the vise. Either a Niemeyer caddis, or you could just say a totally different pattern, but heavily inspired by Ted Niemeyer's caddis. And so sizes for this, 12, 14, or 16. This is a size 12, and that's a klinkhammer hook, and I put a little bend up the front, just like Niemeyer did. And I want to put some black thread down. I'll lay a base to about where the barb would have been. And he did put a tail on this. He said just a small tuft of, the base feathers from any waterfowl, like a duck. And it's really not many at all. Just a small little tuft here, and not really very long. I'd say you could probably just skip this and it would still be an effective fly. But we'll go ahead and do them. Now let's take our thread back up here to that bend in the hook. And what Niemeyer did for a rib, he used the quill stripped from a mallard's primary flight feather, which is kind of a lot of work. So I'm substituting something different here. I'm going to use a vinyl D-rib. And the one you saw in the vise at the beginning was an amber, and I'm going to go with a green. That amber one I think would be a good October caddis, and this green would just be, any other caddis. So I would probably choose this rib, which is going to give the body its primary color. Just choose it based on the caddis flies that you're trying to imitate. Let's put a little wax on here for this next step. And this is where this fly is pretty unique. It's got a mallard flank feather here, just one of these that you use for wings a lot of times. But look at the fluffy marabou-like feathers or fibers just coming off at the base of this feather. We're going to snip and pluck some of these out and create a little dubbing blend. And after you pulled enough out, you're going to get a little clump that looks about like this. And we're just going to spin this on like we would any fur as a dubbing noodle. And I'm not even going to put it real tight because that rib will serve as, it'll give our body as shape. We'll use the rib kind of to shape it. So I'm just putting this on fairly loosely. And then I want to wrap it up there to the front of that body where the bend of the hook is. I might want to go just a little bit more than that, so let's put a touch more on here. Okay, I like that. Now let's wrap this rib and put these fairly close together. What you're going to see, this is going to give the body its color, but in between this you're going to get a little bit of fluff that just gives it a little bit of life. Now let's spend a few wraps just to really bury this nub right here. Now for the front, you're just going to want something darker. A peacock herl would probably be fine. I'm doing an ostrich herl. This is black ostrich. It's a little bit tougher than peacock. And maybe the barbs are just a little bit longer, but probably not much. So I'm going to wrap this around a good 8 or 10 wraps just to try to get a dark head up here. Now this part is optional, but if you have one of these singeing tools, just go ahead and melt these fibers right here before you finish it off with the whip finish. Now you might want to do a little bit of cleanup on this body right here if some of these fibers are coming out, but really I just haven't been worrying about it. I'm putting a drop of head cement on this thing and just calling it done. But it's a pretty simple, buggy little caddis nymph, and I think this thing's going to do pretty well. So that's it, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.